Alright, what's poppin', man? You good?
Nah, I'm good. Yourself?
I'm super good, especially after that performance you just gave, man. Tearing up the studio, man. Where did you learn these skills?
Self-taught.
Self-taught?
Yeah, since, watched my sister when I was like, it was 2006, 7?
Yeah.
When I was like grade 1.
Yeah.
She was a dancer before me and she pretty much inspired me to dance. And it was during the Stomp the Yard wave, you know?
Yeah.
When
The crump.
when it was just there. So I watched her and I just picked it up from there. And when it comes to dance, there were a couple of years where I was a bit off, you know? Just, not many people dancing, while you're in primary school. But then as you get to like grade 6, grade 7, more people started dancing again and really started getting back into dance 2012. And then since 2012 onwards, I've been trying to push it as much as I can, teaching myself as much as I can, whether it's watching YouTube tutorials, because during 2014, 15, YouTube tutorials were a thing.
Yeah.
And then from that point onwards, just really getting more serious with crumping and just trying to build from the foundations of it. And yeah, now we are here, 2024, still very much majority self-taught. Yeah.
Damn, man. Alright, how about you introduce yourself to the people before we get into the business? Because we're going to talk about this.
No problem. My name is Sandile Sifeso Maziboko. I am from the Vaal Triangle, booking 016 Imoyini.
Aha.
You know what it is. Go by many monikers in the past. Many people will know me as Young King. Many people will know me as Trev. Many people will know me as Alpha J. But when it comes to my dancing right now, I go by 2 names, being Triple SM and KM.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would you classify yourself as a dancer? Because like there's different types of dancers. Yeah.
Classifying myself as a dancer. I think the best way I can classify myself as a dancer is a sort of like a fusion dancer, you see, because yes, I have my main style of crumping and that's the style that I'm comfortable with. That's the style that speaks to me most out of many different styles of dancing, because there's a plethora. Like I learned that there's many of these different styles out there, but crumping has always spoken to me since that young age and I've stuck with it. But growing in dance, watching other people dance, watching dance competitions, being in dance competitions and just seeing all these different styles and realizing that no, man, as a person, you can't just stick to one style per se, unless of course you want to main that style and you just want to flourish with that style and only that style. That's also perfectly fine. But for me, I've always been a lover of art in its totality, like just loving when it's music. I have hip-hop as an affinity, but I can listen to all genres of music for the most part. When it comes to visual art, I can look at sculptures and paintings and enjoy that. I can listen to poetry, watch stage performances. So art in its entirety has always spoken to me, and so it's the same with dancing. I can't just say, okay, I'm just gonna be crumping all the way through. I'm always going to be crumping, that's going to be my main, but I fuse it with a lot of different styles, particularly your pianos here, there, and here, there, because oftentimes I'll listen to a song and I'm like, I hear piano can enter into hip-hop. Other times you're like, no, hip-hop can enter into piano, crump can enter into piano, so on and so forth, and I'm just like, no, let's try and make this fusion work. Let's see how I can practice, let's see how I can build myself as a dancer and just fuse different styles of dancing, because overall, as a dancer, I believe that dance in itself, as a dancer, it's expression. And you always have to be able to express yourself, and you don't want to limit yourself in how you express yourself. The best way to not limit yourself is vocabulary. In the same way we speak, you got to learn more words. The more words you know, the more you can express yourself. It's the same with dance. The more moves you know, the more you know how to express yourself through that. So yeah, let's say I'm more of a crump dancer that delves a lot into fusion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that Cat Williams joke where he's joking about Omarion.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know it, but it's like when he bumps into Omarion. He's like practicing dances there. So that leads me to thinking, actually. It leads up to a question of, I've worked with like musicians, producers, right? So I understand the process of creating a new song and putting a song together. So what I want you to explain to me is like, how do you put together? I'm not even sure what it's called when you put together, like what you just performed now. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
So when it comes to dance, you will have, particularly when it's street dance, because there's many different styles of street dance out there. When it comes to street dance, you will have choreographies and you'll have freestyles. And so what I mainly did was a freestyle, pretty much just trying to touch base with a lot of the foundations and also building on some concepts when it comes to crumb. But yeah, it's mainly that freestyle. With choreography, there's two different routes you take when you're doing choreography and freestyling. So with freestyling, you have to practice the basics of the style. You have to know the basics of the style to a T, because those act as like a skeleton, you understand? In order to build the body, you need a skeleton. And so that's what it acts as. And then from that point onwards, once it becomes that skeleton, you start now working on slight combos here, they're working on concepts to say, okay, if I can move in this motion and then I go into this move here, then I pull it this way, that becomes a combo in itself. You start adding the tissue onto the skeleton, you start adding the muscles and everything. Then once you want to cover it with the skin and everything, make sure that it's a full body, that's when you start working with concepts, you see. And the concepts are pretty much anything that comes to your imagination. You can literally make a concept of you being an athlete, and it can work as long as you know how to tell
like
that
a
story.
dance.
Yes, like a dance.
How?
Like depends on which type of athletics you might want to take in. Let's say, for example, you take in the field type of athletics, like your javelins, your shot puts, your hammer throws. You understand? There's a lot of motions in there that you can add with crump. For example,
Come on now.
you understand? Like there was a crumper, very big crumper right now. There was a session that I saw him do, King, and that session, literally one of the movements he did was sort of like a shot put type of movement, but like shot putting it into out of orbit type of vibe, you see. And that's what I mean in terms of concept. Whatever the concept is in your mind, you're operating, you understand? You can come with the concept of being a pirate. I mean, like with crumping, you'll find people creating characters for themselves and literally dancing as that character. Some people being the Joker, some people being Batman. And those are the concepts that they work with. So with freestyling, that's how you would build up in order to be able to properly freestyle to such a degree that you can flow from one concept to another without it seeming awkward. Like it tells like one seamless story, even if it's like two totally different concepts. You understand? With choreography, on the other hand, you work a bit differently. With choreography, it's either you are dealing with a theme or you're dealing with a song. The song will dictate the theme or the theme will dictate the song. One of the two. Once you have that, you listen to the song. You get comfortable with the song. Like you are drilling that thing over and over again. Like you're listening to the small beats in there. You're listening to the hi-hats. You're listening to the snares so that you know how to deal with it musically. You understand? Because a big part of choreography is, in fact, dancing in its entirety is musicality. And that is how do you dance to the music such in a way that you complement the music and the music is complementing you. You understand? So it's all about just listening. Sometimes you'll drill that song to a point where you get tired of it. You understand? Like you just get tired of it, like it's an alarm at this point. But you get to know the song to that degree.
It's kind of like writing on a beat.
And you know what I mean?
It becomes like part of you.
Like you get to a point where literally you can play that song in your mind, start to finish, with every single part of that song. From that point onwards, then you take all the moves that you know. You take every single thing that you develop, and like I said, vocabulary. The more moves you know, the more you can create. Then based on the theme, are you telling a story? Are you just doing a choreography? And that will dictate now the rest of the tissues that are added onto that, the rest of the organs. You're just simply saying, okay, sharp. Since I'm telling a story, how do I tell the story? Now you're adding a bit of acting into it. So it just scales more and more with choreography to say that you are creating something that is for the specific theme. You understand? Freestyling, any day, anytime, put a song, put a track on, we are moving. But with choreographies, you need to be very, very detailed about it because you're trying to tell us something. That is your moment where you say, let's say for example, I'm a solo dancer, and when I enter competitions, we get maximum 2 minutes. So they give you those 2 minutes, tell us what you want to tell us. That's what
with your body.
With your body. The song is there, your body's there, tell us what you want to tell us. That's your 2 minutes. And you work with that 2 minutes, you develop the song. Sometimes you have to mix that song so that you can use the parts that you want to use. And you just build the choreography from that point onwards. And you just work with it like that.
Yeah, man.
No.
It's like you explained that so well. Like I get it now.
Yeah,
I get
no,
it.
no.
It's almost similar as like with the rappers. In
Yeah.
terms of freestyling just being like a combination of just your natural talent, but also just a variation
Yeah,
of styles.
definitely,
And then
definitely.
choreography being something that you actually
Like-
intentionally.
Yeah, like you sit down and you pen it down, you
Yeah.
know, you work on the flows and everything. You're like, okay, wait, this can fit there, this can fit there, because there's a specific story you want to tell. You can't just add any lines.
Man, but the way you explain yourself, I feel like you'd be a dope rapper too.
Aspirations of the past.
Super good with your words.
Aspirations of the past.
Yeah, I think every guy is wanting
Yeah, no.
to be a rapper at some point. You know?
Hey, I delved a bit in poetry, but then,
Yeah.
you know, just really honed in on dancing a lot.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many other talents and arts that I've been involved with, whether singing, whether poetry, whether being part of some acting here, there. But then I honed in a lot on dance to a point where that's just the main style I'm going for. Right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think depth is where you get progress.
Yeah, no,
When
definitely.
you dig in deep with like one thing and you're
Yeah,
not
no.
dibbling and dabbling too much. Obviously, here and there you have to.
No, true.
Yeah.
It's just that thing where you know, I know there's like a common phrase of a master of all trades, is a jack of all trades is a master of none,
Yeah.
but then people continue to say, but a jack of all trades is better than a master of one. And for me, I say it depends.
Ah.
You understand?
Oh, wow.
The reason why is because a jack of all trades can fit in area, right? But the most they can do is be a role player. You understand? When you have depth in something, when you become a master in something, you're not just a role player. You're one of the people that is called upon. You're one of the people that say, no, we can leave him alone and he will move how he needs to move. We can trust him with this entire section, we can trust him with it because that's the master there. Whereas a jack of all trades will be like, okay, move here. We need you here. Okay, you're done there. Okay, now you can move here. Which you're everywhere, which is great. You're used a lot. You know, you get a lot of exposure through that. But now it limits how far you can really go
100%.
because it just keeps you in that role playing spot, and you'll be known as a role player, and that's fantastic. But if that's what you want to be known for, great. If you truly want to be known for what you're doing or what your art is, or you want to be known for something, that depth is needed. You really need to dig into something and say, let's go for this, let's go here. You understand?
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you, bro. So, what are you studying, man?
Currently, right now, I am a fourth year student of the WITS School of Education. Senior phase FET, so high school.
Okay.
Majoring in mathematics, natural sciences, life sciences, and physical sciences.
So you're gonna be one of those critical in-demand teachers, basically.
Pretty much at this point, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
big demand for maths and science teachers. So it's two subjects that I've always been in touch with since like primary, even like. If I would say consistency, it was the two subjects that would always stay within like 70s and 80s a lot. And then later years, obviously, with subjects getting a bit more difficult, you know,
Yeah.
but was able to maintain like a good relationship between myself and mathematics and natural sciences to a point where doing things in natural sciences, doing things in mathematics, they comfort a part of my mind, you know, they put a part of my mind at ease. It's like, no, I'm in my element in this part here. So definitely, not only is it a critically in demand type of subject, but at the same time, it's subjects that I know that I love in a passion and career that I know I will definitely love.
Is there like a specific reason why you actually chose to go into teaching?
Yes, there is a very, very specific reason. So prior to that, I was on the track to wanting to either become an accountant or a lawyer.
Okay.
Like, I also took accounting in high school. So being able to take accounting, I was also really good in accounting. I was able to really pass well. But it got to a point where, you know, matric is now here. Going through matric year, you have to start applying for varsity. You have to start making a decision of life. And I realized that, yeah, the office life is not me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's that thing where I realized that being behind a desk, day in, day out, working on numbers, wouldn't be for me in the long run.
You gotta be thinking about those dances.
You know, like, let alone that, it's just the energy of it. Like, because
Yeah, I get you though.
even with just like with the accounting, like I said, I did accounting. With the lawyer part, I did public speaking and debating in school.
Okay.
So there are things that I gravitate to, but thinking about all, like, I really much decided to leave alone the TV shows that depict these people, because they only depict like the glamorous parts of like being a lawyer and all that, but really delving into people who are lawyers, and I realized that's a lot of paperwork.
A lot.
That's a lot of information.
A lot, yeah. And most students don't even know that after you do those specific ones that you mentioned,
you still have to
do other
like
things.
You're not done. Your articles are coming.
You are not an accountant.
Not even. You are still there.
You are now qualifying to be a lawyer
or accountant. Exactly. And that's the thing. It's just that thing where I realized, no. So was contemplating that throughout the entire year, and then having a conversation with my mom. She was like, you know what, better for me to take a gap year than to go to varsity and waste a year.
Time.
You understand?
Money and
finances are not nice in this Cyril economy, hey?
Yeah.
So it's pretty much that. Then just before the year ended, 2018 matric, the teacher in charge of the RCLs and prefects at my school tasked me, as well as the president, to just run a training session for those who have been nominated and are going to be RCLs and prefects the next year. So just a workshop over a couple of days. And through that process, I started realizing I enjoy a lot of the process of youth development. I enjoy developing people to want to be better, particularly in leadership, but overall as young people, because you tend to see small gaps within our societies and everything, where things are not being done where you wish they could be done. And one of those gaps I noticed myself was the fact that people aren't really, like, when it comes to developing the youth per se, we develop so many different aspects, but we don't develop them. You understand? Like, we'll develop their academics, particularly academics, but then we'll also develop like their sports, sometimes their cultural activities and all that. But we use those as a way to try and develop them rather than actually dealing with things that develop them. You understand?
What would those be?
For example, it's very easy to say that if you succeed in many different things, your self-esteem goes up.
Yeah.
It's a different story when you actually know what your self-esteem is. And it's, like, you're working on the symptom rather than, you understand, like you're dealing with rather than the cause. The self-esteem, what is self-esteem? Do you know what that is? Do you understand how that affects you? Do you understand what could be the causes that affect you against that? Those are the things what I mean in terms of development, you understand? You can only go so far when it comes to sports and teaching kids about self-esteem. You can only go so far when it comes to academics and all of that. But once they have that, integral understanding of what self-esteem is, for example, that's when they're able to actually mature in that self-esteem to say, even if something happens with the sport and I fail, it's not going to knock me. Even if my academics drops, it's not going to knock me. I just look at it and say, you know what? I took an L here. Bad test, wasn't really prepared. We look at what we need to fix. It doesn't knock who I am and what I believe I can do. Whereas most kids, if they have a bad match, they start doubting themselves. Most kids, if they get like a 80, they start looking at themselves and like, ish. Then they get that second 30 and it's like, that self-esteem starts getting a real knock, you understand? Yeah. Because they don't have that integral understanding of what is self-esteem, you understand? And so that's what I mean in the sense of youth development, where there's that gap, to say that there's so many different programs that people have created to do that, but they don't do it to a degree where I can say it's making such a difference. Like, these programs, they'll happen maybe like for a week or weekend, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, after that, you don't hear from the people of those programs a lot, unless of course they're like your mentor specifically. Otherwise, rarely are there things continuous that build kids to say, no, you know what, I know my self-esteem, I know my self-worth as a person, I know what self-worth is, I know what defines me, I know that failing at this test does not define me. It just takes a moment in time where, I failed, it's fine. I take that failure, and rather than looking at it as a moment of weakness or a moment of not really living up, it's just the moment where I failed. I take that and I build on that. So after realizing that passion for youth development, I thought to myself, okay, what's the quickest way to get to youth? And, well, education. Yeah. It's pretty much not only the quickest way to get to the youth, but it's also the largest group of youth you can work with that is structured, you understand? Because anything outside of that, you have to create a structure, you have to get people on board with it, and it just takes a lot of different logistics involved with it. On top of that, there's also a lot of different bureaucracies involved with that. Whereas, at least with teaching, trying to create such programs within the school is often looked upon as a good thing, as a great thing, you understand? And it's supported more rather than someone who's outside and is just trying to bring forth, because many people will see those people as having ulterior motives, you understand? So teaching just seemed like the best bet for me, and it seems it runs in the genes, because, you know, my mom and my dad were teachers.
Okay.
My 2 aunts are teachers, so it seems like it's genetics. What can I say?
Really? And when it's genetic,
you can't deny it. You can't fight it. You just do it.
Naturally to you.
Definitely.
So, man, I have a more personal question, especially when you talk about the youth.
Yeah.
Like, being from Spokane, have you noticed any issues about the youth, particularly Mogas, and maybe some of how can I phrase this? The differences between the youth, the youth in the suburbs, in terms of how they develop, because it seems like a lot of the kids in the Kasi, you know, they're not as developed as the kids that
are in the suburbs and the cities.
So have you personally identified any things?
Yes. I would say there's two major factors, and these are, they have issues behind them that are very systemic. They go years back, like decades even, to apartheid reasons and all that. But the two reasons I would say that are really big hindrances is family support and opportunities, or at least knowledge of opportunities. With family support, I'll even extend it to not only just say family support, but community support, because these kids are in schools and everything. They are with teachers and all that. With that one specifically, the major thing that you'll only be supported in more often than not is academics. If you're in the gas, more bar none. I've done practicals mainly in suburb schools, like here, you know, like I've done practicals nearby Parktown Boys here, Hyde Park High, because, you know, they are similar to the high school I went to. So it was just, you know, getting comfortable and just being able to learn how to teach in those Model C types. But what I noticed about those schools, and specifically with my old high school, General Smarts, is that the support that is in those schools compared to Kasi is different. When you're in those schools, you're supported in doing academics, but you're also encouraged to be a sports person, to be cultural, to do leadership, just everywhere. Like, in fact, we recognize and elevate those that can cover all the bases, but more often than not in those schools, the ones who are doing sports and the ones who are doing culture are the ones that are often recognized as the highest, you understand? And it's not necessarily to say that, because I know a lot of people tend to be like, you can be great at sports and culture in school, but then after high school, all of that falls away, you get to varsity, just academics. And I'm like, you don't understand what that develops.
Here we go.
You have no idea what that develops.
There we go. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, because when you're dealing with just academics, you are pretty much saying to every single one of those kids in that school that the only way you can succeed is academics. There is no other outlet. All these other outlets, consider them hobbies unless you are one of the greats already. Like, already in high school, 14 years, you have to be a talent in soccer for your parents to be like, no, my child also does soccer. You understand? You have to be a talent in athletics or netball. You have to be like a strong talent. You're not given room to develop. You understand? Like, high school is that platform where you develop. Like, grade 8, you start nicely. You learn the tricks of the trade. Grade 9, you start getting a bit more better. Grade 10, that's when you start hitting. You understand? But they're not given that room. Instead, you have to be great already. And even then, you don't even get those opportunities in schools. So that's where the second problem comes in. Knowledge of opportunities. In former Model C schools and Quintile 5 schools, private schools, they have a plethora of opportunities. Pretty much you can choose what it is that you might want to go into. You can pretty much choose whatever activity is suited to you, whether that is stage performance and theatrics, whether that's dancing in some schools, whether that's a singing group, whether it's the choirs or whatever, whether that's debating, whether that's rugby, soccer. So it's so much that you don't even know what you want to choose when you get to grade 8. Whereas when you get to the Kasi, it's academics. Maybe soccer. Maybe athletics. And that's if there's a teacher.
That's a big maybe.
And that's if there's a teacher in the school that wants to coach that. Because if there's no teacher in the school that wants to coach that, there won't be that opportunity. I've seen many activities in my old high school die because the teachers that ran those activities left.
Yes.
And it just died. Opportunities that were great.
I agree with you, man.
Honestly. And the reason why I cry about this is because even myself, I went to a former Model C high school, but I lived in the Kasi. And that has an effect. Just me living in the Kasi, I did not have knowledge of opportunities. I'm a dancer and I did not know about international dance competitions to such a degree. I really didn't. Like, you'll be there thinking, oh, things are just local and everything. There are local competitions there. Until I realized, wait a minute, I can represent South Africa with dancing. Okay, that's what I did. 2022, went to qualifiers for Dance Star South Africa Pretoria qualifiers. Qualified to represent the country in Croatia in 2023.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you went to Croatia?
Yeah, 2023 went to Croatia.
How was that, man?
Peaceful.
Oh.
The thing is, it was the World Dance Masters, as they call it, the Dance Star World Dance Masters. They always hold it in Croatia, and they hold it at the Laguna Resort.
Okay.
The Plava Laguna Resort, yes, specifically. And that is at the coastline. You understand? So at the coastline, there by the beaches, it is peaceful. It is probably the highest level of peace I've ever experienced. So it was a great experience. On top of that, meeting other dancers from other countries and realizing that, no, man, this is not just a thing you see on TV or YouTube videos. This is a thing that you can actually experience. You understand? So I was like, okay. But then there was another competition I wanted to enter. And that's the one I came from just this year. Entered the Dance World Cup. Went to the qualifiers here in Pretoria. Got second, qualified to represent the country. It was held in the Czech Republic. Went there, and in the Czech Republic, got my silver, got my bronze.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
And that's something that a lot of people... Because one thing I noticed is that with a lot of the kids there, because it is limited to the age of 25, a lot of the kids there, you can see this is just another year.
It's normal for them.
You can tell this is just another year. It's
and
deep.
For you,
like it's serious. Like keep in mind, for them it's serious. Like they take this competition seriously. Like they're going there to win and everything. And if they don't win, they get heartbroken. But you can also tell this is just another year.
Yeah.
Whereas Waiti, you know, like it's just a competition here with another school, and then we're moving, we get trophies. Like that's how it is to them. Whereas I'm willing to bet the amount of kids that are talented with dancing in the Kasi, if they were to fly and go to another country and say they're representing the country in dancing, it would be the biggest experience of their life. This was my second time traveling, and it was still a big thing. It was
but now they're dancing at the corner.
Yeah, you know,
they don't shooting videos.
Exactly, like, and that's the thing. They like even with this competition, it showed me that we could clean as South Africa. Low key, we could clean some of these competitions because, like, I went there doing two different categories: commercial and street dance. With commercial, it's the things that you usually see on like MTV music videos and all that. And so with that particular category, I was like, okay, let's move on to piano. We're just gonna create a whole piano set, pretty much South African music. We're saying this is Mzansi, you are moving. And with that, I got second.
Oh, damn. Out of like a global competition.
Out of a global competition. And keep in mind, this is a style that I'm not really comfortable with yet. Like, I've just really gotten into piano. So I can imagine kids that actually know piano better than me, what they could have done there. And it's me saying, knowledge of opportunity. Because further knowledge of opportunities, I didn't know you can be a pro tier for dancing. Where you can wear the green and gold. Something I never knew.
I only knew now when Reagan was doing her things there at the Olympics.
No, that's a whole different story. Ish, that is a problem.
You want to get that rabbit hole.
That is a problem. You know, I unfortunately watched that as it was happening. I was like, no, guys. But it is what it is. But like literally last year, as I'm researching competitions, because I really want to get my feet wet, I want to be able to know how these competitions operate, because one of my visions teaching is to take kids there. Kids that don't have these opportunities, or they don't even know that there's an outlet where as a dancer you can be recognized nationally. You can get national colors for dancing. Something that I'm pretty sure a lot of kids in the Kasi don't know about.
100%.
And more, even more likely, a lot of kids that will only know it is not even, it's mainly, I can truly say this because it has been something I've seen with my own eyes. So I don't want people coming after me, whatever. But the only people that really know these things are white kids, particularly girls who are in very, very affluent communities or have parents that can afford dance studios or dance schools.
Yeah.
Those are the majority of the people you will come across at dance competitions, bar none. And that just goes to show to say, we have such limited knowledge of opportunity. And like I said, many factors being all the way back to apartheid, we're still suffering those effects now. And these are one of those effects to say, these kids are talented. These kids can have avenues where they can succeed in other things. They can actually be big for themselves. Not necessarily big where they have a big name in it, just big for themselves, where they don't have to look at themselves when they go to school and their academics might not be that great. And since that's the only thing that they're being judged on, that, you understand? Like that's all like since you're not doing well in academics, we don't see you. You understand? That's the differences between kids in the Kasi and kids in the suburbs. The suburb kids, you have all these outlines, and on top of that, you have family support. Your parents will come support you. Your parents will take you there, or they'll give you money if they can't take you there.
Yeah.
At least you'll be there though.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Kasi though, unfortunately, because of the financial issues we have, because of the many jobs our parents have to work just to sustain us, it's hard for them to give us their full support in everything.
Yeah.
And because it's been so ingrained within the black mind that academics is the only way to go.
100%.
You have to achieve academically so you can get a degree, so you can get a job. And
there are many ways.
There are
you know
many
what
ways.
I love though? I love the fact that you are this, you're gonna be this teacher, this serious teacher who's teaching serious subjects, but who's low-key a disguised creative, trying to, share this knowledge with. I love it.
It's one of those things of, it's the balance for my life, In my life, that's my balance, to say that I'm both someone that is very analytical, but at the same time, someone that's very creative.
Yeah.
And you always have to find a way to make those two worlds work together. Because if there's clashes, you wouldn't be well with yourself as a person. And honestly, with my spirit, I truly do believe the Lord is leading me through this, and He's guiding me that this is the path that I have to take. I could have easily been an accountant. I could have easily done law, passed it, maybe failed 1 year, gets hectic at times, but I could have gone through that, and I could have just been in careers where money can be made, no problem. But when you realize that there's something bigger than just you,
100%.
you can't now decide to say, okay, it's just me.
Yeah.
Yes, I can achieve just me. I can be able to go get my medals overseas. I can be able to qualify for South African colors and all. Yes, but I do that through the process of helping these kids get that. Not just by myself, because one big thing, in fact, that really pushed this even more, because already this was an idea, but this was pushed even more last year. At the Dance Star World Dance Masters, they have what is known as a gala night. The gala night is the top 20 choreographies of the entire competition.
Oh, okay.
So keep in mind, there's a lot of dancers. There's a lot of performances. I mean, a lot. Solos, duo, trio, quartets, small groups, formations. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Like you have to have, with Dance Star, it's a whole week. With Dance World Cup, it's pretty much 2 weeks.
Damn.
Of people dancing. You understand what I mean?
You're gonna pick 20 people from
and
that.
That's the thing. The gala night, they pretty much say 20.
Yeah.
The top 20, and they have the scoring system. So they say, okay, top 20 scores out of 120. Let's see who it is. I went there to just watch, I went to watch and everything. when I watched, first thought that knocked into my mind was, I must get there on that stage myself. You know, there's always that feel like, nah, you gotta get there. But
that's my spot right there.
Immediately, the second thought after that was, I gotta get others there.
That's it.
And immediately when that clicked in, I was like, there's the vision. And I can't necessarily hold myself back from that by just saying, let me do things for me. Because it's at a point where my spirit will fight me. It's at that point where I know that if I do it, my conscience won't let me rest until I go and make sure that others are part of this as well.
I can relate with that a lot because in many ways, that's also what I'm trying to do here. And I hope that one day when you're busy doing these things, we can actually come together, and I'd be willing to also help in whatever way that I can help.
I would heavily appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, bro, I'm looking at your sweater here. I'm looking at your sweater, Klysmic. Klysmic, right?
Yes,
sorry.
Klysmic. No, I understand. I understand. It's never. There's been many times where it gets confused like that. I understand. I understand.
So how did you? Is that your stage name?
So at one point it was, and then I dropped it. And the reason why is because the concept of Klysmic is not a concept of a dancer. Okay. The concept of Klysmic is something that I'm planning to grow to be bigger. It's going to start through dance because that's my medium, but definitely bigger than just dance, because the whole idea behind it mainly is, what is art in our modern society? You understand? Because we have to realize that we are getting technologically advanced to a very high degree.
Yeah.
And so much so, you can fake an artist now. Looking at what is art in our modern day, because so much of art is slowly getting replaced by AI. Yeah. You know, like the fortunate thing about dance is that we can't replace it too much, because at the end of the day, yes, you can create a video of people dancing, but it's an art form that the expression of it cannot be replaced just that easily. Understand? Like the physical movement art form is something that just can't be replaced that quickly. It can't be, like, it's something that you have to experience yourself and see it with your own eyes. You understand? But it is an unfortunate thing that as much as we advance as a society, as much as we advance as a globe, it is affecting many other things. Sure. And that particularly is art. AI can draw any pictures that we imagine and it will be right there. AI can produce any beat that we want and it'll be right there. AI can produce the voice of anybody that we want and it'll be right there. Yeah. Like, do you understand what that means? Like, literally so many artists pretty much are getting cut out. And so, I mean, like, even with the whole Klysmic thing, it's something that has been brewing for a very long time. The idea, the terminology of Klysmic started in 2017. And back then it was just coming up with an idea of coming together with many different people who are artists and just expressing that. And it's grown from that. It started out with the main word for Klysmic, where Klysmic comes from, cataclysm. And cataclysm, the definition that I often work with is a great social upheaval. You understand? Okay. And usually that social upheaval, it's a massive thing that just happens out of nowhere, that needs to happen more often than not, because when it doesn't happen, we stay in such a comfort zone that we stop developing and actually we start deteriorating. And that's the whole point of Klysmic, to say, as artists, we continuously grow. In order to be an artist, you have to grow. You cannot be stagnant. You cannot say that you're going to be an artist, but you're staying in the same exact lane the entire time. You understand? Even if you have one specific thing. For example, you can be a rapper with a very specific flow. That's okay. But how you express that art form, you have to grow with that. When you give us that same flow, we know what flow to expect from you. We know the verbiage, but now we got to hear more. You got to be able to tell us more. Once you realize you can't tell us more, that's when you grow and you start venturing, you start incorporating different flows and everything like that. You understand? And that's what I mean in terms of artists, to say we are always growing. And that's the whole point of Klysmic, to say we're not just going to stop now and now die out as artists over time, because, you know, AI is here now. You know, it will do our job for us. No, we have stories to tell. The entertainment industry, as much as we watch all these TV shows, we listen to all these songs, at the end of the day, the core essence of all of that is there is a story to tell. There's a message to be sent out. And we need to be able to hear it. We need to give room for that. And that's what Klysmic has grown into. And it's not something that is officially started yet. It's not something that has really grown out there. That's why I say there was a point in time where I took upon Klysmic as a name. But then there's a point I also realized that this is bigger than me. To a point where I can be recognized as the creator, the founder of Klysmic. But I don't want to be known as Klysmic. You understand?
I get you.
Like, yes, I know. When it comes to brands and everything, you will always be the face if you're the creator. You'll always be the person that's known, the name attached. That is fine. But I'd rather be known as Mr. Klysmic than Klysmic. You understand? Meaning that more than anything, you can consider it as it's not me, it's something that I'm a part of.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So that's why I dropped it. I went back to some of my former names like KM Wolf, as I stated earlier, and what's this Triple SM? Triple SM is mainly you know, if you realize it's attached to my name, and so that's where Triple SM is. And then KM Wolf was years back when I was starting getting proper in dancing again, and I was like, you know, so getting into dancing, and it's morphed. The KM stands at first back then started meant for creative master, but it has morphed into something else, and that something else will be revealed sometime in the future. But overall, the idea of Klysmic, the concept of Klysmic, the reason why for me it's a thing where there's a point where I can share it, is that as an artist, how do you grow in this modern day? As an artist, how do you tell your story in this modern day? And you can't just say that, no, I'm already doing it. No, how do you tell your story? Because even me with dancing, when I do choreographies, every choreography since the beginning of this year has been me telling my story. The choreographies that I've used, particularly for competitions, it's me telling my story to say, as much as it seems like it's a story, that is my story. And there's a lot that you'll see, oh, this person might have been dealing with this person might have been dealing with this. And that is just to give you a glimpse to how strong art is. Art isn't just a hobby. Art isn't just something that you do on the side. It isn't something that we enjoy only for entertainment. There is a beauty in it. There is something that we look at it and we're like, that's art. That is something that you can look at. I will forever hold the phrase of the, you know, earth without art is just You understand? I'll always hold that.
I love that.
Earth without art is just And I'll always hold that because everything that we see, you can consider it art. The earth itself is just a work of art from our creator. And everything else that we create onwards from that, whether it is analytical, you could be creating these buildings and everything from an analytical point of view, but architects are artists as well. Even engineers that work on all these, they are artists as well because they're creating something. Art is infused within our being as people.
You reminded me actually of something like, you know, one funny thing when you go to multiple university campuses is that you notice at WITS it's clear as day. So when you look at the older buildings, I think it's on East Campus, right? Yeah. The East Campus buildings there by the Senate House. Artistically, they are just so beautiful. So it's similar to what you're talking about with AI and stuff. So when you go to the west side, it's more, you know, box. Let's get as many children in here as possible and make money. But in those old buildings,
you know what I mean.
Let's make something.
It was a place where you could be like, I could go there. You understand? That I get exactly what you mean.
It's the same at like Rhodes. I'm not sure at UJ, but I think it's the same. Older buildings.
It's the older buildings of universities that have been here for a minute. The older buildings, you can see that there was art involved. It wasn't just, okay, let's create a place where people can go in and study. No, let's make it something where people can come into. You understand? Mindset wise, you're going into a building not thinking, torment. You're looking at a building on the outside and you see artwork. You understand? Before the stress of academics kicks in, you've already calmed yourself to a certain degree. Now almost every place that we go, I love how they call it state of the art, but it has no art feeling in it.
I'm a learner here. I'm just a learner here. Just taking this knowledge.
Honestly, like we call many of these things state of the art, and it's like state of the art in what? What's the art there? I mean, like, sure, it looks sleek, it looks shiny and all that, and that's a form of art. We can accept that, we can appreciate that. There's a point where it starts getting too oversaturated.
Yeah, just generic.
Yes, there's a point where it gets too generic to a point where you're like, okay, give us something new. But now the problem is the new things that they're giving, they don't feel like they have art in it. They feel very lifeless. You understand? And that's the thing, is that art isn't something that you don't, like I said, Earth in itself was the artwork of our Creator, and He took His time. You understand? God took His time. It wasn't just something like, okay, plants. Yes, He said it with His mouth. And for us, for Him, it says that it was a day. But in the Bible, it also says that 1,000 years is like a day to Him. So you can imagine for us, in one day when He was creating the plants and everything, that took 1,000 years. So it took time. You don't just say, I'm going to create with the idea of, it must look like this. You take your time because you are saying, this is my artwork. This is my vision. This is my imagination. You can't tell me that your imagination is starting to become generic, where it's very easy to tell what you're going to create. I got to be able to say, I know what they might create, but I'm waiting in anticipation. I'm waiting. Like, it's the same with many artists right now. Music, there are very specific artists where like, we know what they could create, but I want to hear this. You understand? There's many actors, same thing. Like, we know there are many role-playing actors, but we know they are top-tier actors where we're like, I know how they act, but I want to see how they kill this performance. And that's what I mean in terms of art, in terms of, like, with our universities, as you stated, it's that thing of, you can become more modern and modern and modern and modern until the point where the modern it just pushes out the art. And now we just have, like I say, yes, everything is an art form. Everything that is created is art. But there's a point where you start losing the essence of art. And that essence is pretty much imagination personified. Imagination in creation. The moment you have that imagination working for you, and it's really where like we can see, or no, you put thought into this. That's when we're like, that's art right there.
That's art, yeah.
But now, the way we're going, for me, it's just, it further solidifies something like Klysmic needs to exist. It always solidifies it every single time. I'm like, we need art. And if we don't have art, we're going to lose ourselves as humans. Because art delves in, like I said, I have a creative side and I have an analytical side. Art is our creative side. We lose our creative side, we lose one half of our brain. We lose one half of our brain, we're no longer humans, we're a different species. Because as humans, we're known to have two hemispheres. So, yeah.
Yo, alright bro, you got any shout outs?
Shout outs?
Yeah.
First main shout out will forever be to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Yes.
The one and only. I can only do all of this. I can only say all of this. I have this gift of dancing because of him.
100%.
So that's the main shout out. Will forever be the shout out. 100%. From that point onwards, it's my family back home, my mother and my sister, as well as my baby niece, because that one is a little character. Shout out to the love of my life, my girlfriend.
Sorry.
breathe. But yes, the love of my life, my girlfriend, Uzintle. Love her to pieces and everything. Shout out to a lot of my friends, particularly the homie Richie, the homie Spider. Shout out to my crump I would say big homie is the correct term. My Crump big homie, Big Locks one time. The Crump community will know. Shout out to Locks family. Shout out to Klysmic. And shout out to Art.
Shout out to Art, man.
Yeah.
Sure. So, I don't know, is there anything that you have going on that you want to let people know about particularly, or any message in your heart that you want to give out to everybody?
In terms of things right now, my main focus is just to make sure I get a teaching job. So it's to a point where I've even said to myself, for the next year, for 2025, I'm not traveling.
Okay.
I'll do competitions locally, but I'm not gonna travel. So right now, my main focus will be to get a teaching job, and then for the majority of the next year, teach the kids that I need to teach how to dance. And then hopefully at the end of the year, next year, we can start entering proper competitions, you know? But in terms of plans right now, Klysmic is still very much on the back burner. It's still there. And it will come out when the time, not necessarily when the time is right, but once I know everything is in order. And it matters with mainly the people that I need to talk to, the people that I've recognized are lovers of art as well. So it's just those people that I need to talk to, and it will just grow over time. And the message to send out is one to young people, whether in high school, whether in varsity, is don't let academics define you completely. What defines you is who the Lord says you are, and what defines you is what you know you can be good at. Trust in yourself more than anything, and believe that you have the capacity to do what you know you can do. To artists everywhere, to my fellow creatives, understand one thing, one major thing, guys. They can keep a lot of things. They can keep the resources, they can keep the money, they can keep the equipments, they can keep all of that. The one thing they will never be able to take is your creative mind.
Come on.
The one thing they will never be able to take is your imagination and your expression of story. The one thing they can't take is your essence. As long as you're true to that, you'll always have something to say. And trust me, we will always be here willing to listen.
Like I said, I'm just a learner here, man.
One time for the one time.
I'm just learning, bro. I enjoyed this so much. I feel like I can talk to you forever. I'm like, intentionally just be like, okay, I don't want my camera to overheat.
I get it.
At the same time, I'm just like, okay, we're gonna have to talk again.
No problems.
I'm like, let me just stop here because we got so much to talk about.
Definitely.
And you're just such a deep and just grounded person.
You have to.
And I know for sure that God did put you in the position that you are in, man, because one sign is when it's not about you.
Definitely.
One sign is when you want to pour into other individuals and stuff like that. I can relate a lot with what you're saying and what you're talking about. And I just think that whoever's going to get the opportunity to be taught by you is going to be super lucky, because they're going to be developed not only with natural sciences and mathematics, but I believe that you're going to be those type of teachers that we talk about years after leaving high school. Everybody has that teacher with you know.
I have two of them in my mind always.
Can you mention them so that
one she's very near and dear to my heart. Honestly, she was my mother at school. When I got to high school, she was my mother, Umama Shela. She pretty much touched a lot of young kids' hearts in terms of art, like just a lot. And she will always have a special place in my heart. No one can tell me nothing about her. And she's definitely one of the biggest inspirations for me to be a teacher. And then the other one is Mam Tebe. Can't call it anything else. It's just Mam Tebe. And she was the inspiration behind me wanting to take kids overseas, because she got to my high school 2017, if I'm correct. Yeah, she got to General Smuts in 2017, and then by 2019, if I'm correct, if not 2018, one of those 2 years, she had already taken kids singing in an a cappella group to New York.
Whoa.
within 2 years. She didn't waste time.
Yeah.
That's an inspiration. I'm like, I want to do that myself.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it's that thing of not only just being, I want to do that myself for me. It's like, that's such an opportunity. And there's so many kids that don't have that. And once I traveled myself, I realized, no, man. And so just those two inspirations are the reasons why I further went into saying I want to be a teacher. More than anything, and I keep them very much near and dear in terms of always reminding myself why I'm teaching, why I'm in this space of youth development, always and forever. So yeah,
I definitely think you are gonna be one of those teachers that many students speak about, man.
I appreciate that.
I believe it in my heart, man, and I'm wishing you all the best with finishing your degree.
One time for the one time.
Oh, push it up, bro. Go do the Lord's work there in those schools.
Definitely.
I appreciate you pulling up, bro. Thank you for the fire dances and just the knowledge, man. I enjoyed this so much, bro. Like,
hey, I keep it straight. I keep it solidified.
Here we go.
One time.
Sharp.
Sure.